What's up, men's physique fans, and welcome back to another video. The 60th annual 2024 Olympia took place last weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's safe to say it did not disappoint. Ryan Terry does it again. Bilal delivers, and Digo drops out last second. And then Aaron Banks, he retired? I don't know what's going on in the men's physique division, but it's safe to say we have a lot to catch up on, so let's sit back, relax, and enjoy this video.
Me, so I give what it takes. Whole life been a miracle, seen everything but a cape. Why would I stop now? Found everything on a journey, but another way. Look, I'm not.
Coming into this Olympia, the conversations was centered around more of who wasn't competing rather than who was competing. And then at the last second, we got even more bad news. 3 days out from the Olympia, our 2024 Arnold champion and top contender for the Olympia title dropped out. After flying to Las Vegas from Brazil, Digo had an in-person check-in with his coach, Boss of Outlaw, and that's when they realized that he simply wasn't going to be ready and made that decision to pull out of the Olympia. He then went on an Instagram post to explain exactly what was going on and why he made that decision. In summary, he went in detail about the difficulties of the prep, both physically and mentally, and the stress that it put on his loved ones and more specifically his family. And that was the main reason he decided to pull out. Digo has been a consistent top 5 guy, and with the notable names who beat him in the past not participating, people certainly saw him as a potential threat to the title, especially after the package that he brought to the Arnold Classic earlier this year. I never liked to play this game, but I'm curious, if Digo were to have brought that package from the 2024 Arnold Classic, where do you guys think he would place? The top 2 guys are very similar to Digo, especially in terms of height and even strengths, but there's no doubt he would have had the best structure on that stage comparative to the top 2, and that definitely would have put him in that conversation and made things a lot more interesting in those comparison rounds. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Comment below. The top call out at the Olympia did not disappoint. A lot of new faces that fought their way back into the mix, and even guys who went from last place all the way to second place in just 1 year. Another interesting stat about this year's Olympia, out of the top 15, 11 of those athletes were all international. 4 of them only being from the United States. I said this then, but I'll also say it again. The international competitors, they're not just coming, they have arrived. And they are bringing one hell of a package, and their passion for bodybuilding is everything. A lot of these guys, this is all that they have. This is how they feed their family. And you can clearly see that on stage. So I'm telling you guys right now, keep a close eye, because just how we saw Brazil take over the last couple of years, we're going to start seeing other countries. We're going to see India. We're going to start seeing Afghanistan. We're going to start seeing all of these places just come with a vengeance to truly make a name for themselves. And it's happening. But nonetheless, let's give our flowers to our top 10 Olympians, starting with Kaiki Santos, a guy who made a name for himself this season. This is his first ever Olympia. He qualified for the Olympia by winning a show by beating who? You heard it right, Diogo Montenegro. And now he continued that momentum onto the Olympia stage. This guy has amazing structure. He's a great look for men's physique, small waist, wide shoulders, very balanced from front to back. He wasn't the most conditioned guy in this. If anything, he's probably the least conditioned in the top 10, but that's a variable that he can simply control because he has everything else to be competitive. He has great muscle density, and again, a great overall polished look for men's physique. He is going to be somebody who is here for years to come. Keep your eyes out. And coming in at 9th place, we have Ben Marney. Ben has now won 6 pro shows, 6, and he's already qualified for the 2025 Olympia by winning the Daytona Pro just a few weeks prior to the Olympia. The one thing that I love about Ben is that he did not rush this process. He qualified very early at an India show to shut it down, to focus on putting on as much tissue as he could, to then make some noise at the Olympia this past season. And he did just that. He's our 9th ranked men's physique athlete in the world after being at the Olympia multiple times, but never being able to break through. He is now here, and not to mention, he still has 17 pounds to put on to maximize his weight cap. And it's safe to say, the way that he is working in order and riding this momentum, he's going to do so. It's going to be one hell of a year for Ben. He's definitely going to be one of those guys to look out for going into the 2025 season. And coming in at 8th place after making a name for himself in Dubai earlier this season by placing third place behind Miroslav, as well as Aaron Banks. We have Carlos Okon. Carlos has one of the freakiest physiques in that first call out. Again, very round, very bubbly, but the one thing that I love about what he did for the Olympia comparative to what he did in Dubai, he came in more streamlined, right? He actually lost about 7 pounds to step on this stage in order to really just make his physique look more traditional to what men's physique is, right? Again, men's physique is a look, right? There is numbers in terms of weight caps, but you don't have to necessarily push that weight cap if it's not necessary. But I will say his look was significantly more fitting for the division, and he was rewarded because of it. Even so much so, he beat a guy who beat him in Dubai in Miroslav. But again, he has one of those freakier physiques. He's a great back, overall balance. Again, his arms were always something that kind of stood out to you on stage and didn't necessarily do that this time, right? That's flow. You want to have every body part kind of look like it's meant to be there for your body. But again, he has a very good look. He's only going to get better, and I'm excited to see what he does here in the future. And coming in at 7th place, and I said it in my predictions, we have Tor Chavez. Tor has always been one of those guys who just consistently gets better and better and better. And when I was backstage looking at a lot of these athletes, he was absolutely one of the guys who stood out to me. I mean, his fullness was there, right? His coloring was there. Like his tan was amazing, right? And I'm telling you guys, that is so important. But he's just getting better and better under Coach Cuts. And that's one thing that you can clearly see. And I'm telling you guys, Tor is just one of those guys who controls his variables. He's going to be very hard to beat just because he doesn't allow himself to beat himself like some of the other athletes do, right? So you have to make sure you're 100% on point in order to stand next to Tor and have a chance. But Tor absolutely nailed it. He's getting better and better. His back is getting better, right? He's just going to be one of those guys that you have to keep an eye out for. And coming in at 6th place, we have Cory Morris. And this was definitely a shock to me. Again, I say this all the time. Like Cory just has one of those physiques that are uncharacteristic to anybody else he stands next to, right? I think that can help him and also hurt him. But he has one of the smallest waist to shoulder ratios. He has just one of the freakiest bubbly looks. And the one thing that I love about Cory is he understands what the division is looking for. So his goal comparative to last season to this season was just to streamline, right? And come more polished. And he did that. He downsized his arms. He kept the waistline tight, and he still has some crazy fullness. I don't think he could ever be flat. But again, I think the one thing that he didn't necessarily have what he typically has is those crazy full erectors. But even still, he had one of the better backs on that stage. I think Cory is one of those guys where he's just, I don't know, like it's hard because like I see his physique and I see that as being a physique that is so hard to beat, but then I just think, why aren't the judges rewarding it? Or at least, I mean, 6th in the world is amazing, but like I think he's consistently finds himself in these 6th place spots at these big shows when I just believe that his physique is warranted of more. I don't know. That's just me. I'm a fan of Cory. I like him. I definitely think that he has one of those physiques that, is awesome to look at. But I am curious to hear the feedback that the judges have specifically on his physique. But nonetheless, Cory Morris coming in at 6th place. Again, Cory has one of those high ceilings, high floor situations. He can be off or on, and I still believe he will be in those top conversations. And regaining that 5th place spot, we have Edon Palomo. Edon's story is amazing, right? It's a story of redemption. If you guys know anything about Edon and kind of where he started off, like before the whole bodybuilding scene to where he is now, you'll know. This man went through a lot just to get here. I mean, like sticks in a hut, curling rocks. It's an awesome story. And then after the last season, falling back 6 places after placing 5th just the year before, he then recreates himself and then finds his way back into that top 5 this year. And I believe he was the best peak of the whole entire show. I mean, he was full, he was conditioned, he had a great color, great presence and poise on stage. He controlled all his variables perfectly. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be very hard to stand next to a perfectly peaked Edon like forever. Like he's just one of those guys. And again, I'll never forget when I was standing on stage with him at Sasquatch. And I remember at the weigh-ins, he weighed in at like 222 pounds. And this time he weighed in at 202. Like it's like he downsized that much. Like he was peeled back then and he was peeled here, but he lost so much weight, so much muscle to clean up the look, and it worked. And coming in at 4th place, we have Emanuel Hunter. Emanuel has always been one of those guys, I feel like, who controls his own fate. If he can control his variables, he comes in condition, he comes in full, and again, controls his posing, he will be extremely hard to beat. He is one of the widest guys on stage, has one of the best backs on stage, right? The detail through his back and midsection has always been a topic of conversation, but at the big show like the Olympia, he nails it every single time. He was extremely impressive, extremely. And again, he just continues to get better and better and better. From my understanding, this was the leanest and tightest he's ever been, or at least the lowest in terms of number on scale he's ever been, and he was definitely still maintained his fullness and overall pop for the stage. I was very impressed with Emanuel, and I think a lot of people did not necessarily see him in that conversation this year. I mean, let's be real, he played fourth last year. He wasn't going to fall too far back, but I think people just counted him out, man. And I never understood why. Because a guy who truly controls their own fate, that's a dangerous thing. Like, he doesn't care how other people show up. It just matters how he shows up, and he showed up. So congratulations to Emanuel Hunter. And coming in at third place for the second consecutive year, we have your two-time Arnold champion in 2022, Olympia champion in Aaron Banks. Now, Aaron Banks had high expectations going into the show. He was definitely a front runner, and probably the front runner to dethrone Ryan Terry. Now, was it enough? No, but it is a very clear progression from his package that he brought to the Dubai Pro, and was also much improved from the last showing last year's Olympia. Now, the feedback that Aaron got was that he did not come in full enough. Now, when I look at Aaron's physique, I definitely don't necessarily see that the fullness was lacking. Maybe a little bit of detail, and that's only detail compared to the top two. But I just see Aaron's physique much improved. Now, was it as good as his 2022 package? Maybe not. I think it was some strengths compared to then, like his added size, but maybe his detail, his streamlined, waistline. I don't know. I know a lot of people have been talking and speculating, but I definitely think that he was much improved. And I know this loss, quote unquote loss, still third in the world, hurt him. And so much so, after the show, there was speculation that he made some Instagram posts, not even speculation, he made some Instagram posts and seemingly retired. And that's through the whole division and bodybuilding community up in uproar for, about 48 hours, asking why did he retire? Is he actually retired? What's going on? Right? He hashtagged some of his old posts or his most recent posts as like last rodeo, and just seemingly wanted to take some time to focus on himself. Now, I feel like I'm talking forever, so I'm just going to simply allow him to explain kind of where his head's at and what's his next best move.
Just me focusing more on my kids. I hear the speculations of me retiring and all this other shit. People are speculating, but bro, my main focus is my kids. I didn't say one word about retiring or anything like that. Yeah, on the cowboy shot, it said last rodeo. That don't mean I'm retiring.
Yeah.
That was just last rodeo. Just shit. I'm tired. Like, I've been prepping since fucking March. My brain is ready to just tap out. Like, this is the last time I'm prepping, like, for the year. Like, I'm not thinking about nothing. I don't have shit to worry about. I'm finna go home and, bro, just play with my kids.
But you heard it from him. He's simply going to be taking some time off, focusing on his family. He's going to be focusing on business, and honestly just taking a step back and kind of giving himself a mental relief. We all know that bodybuilding can become so consuming in our lives and force us to sacrifice, some of the things that we care and value the most. And that can be a lot, especially with the eyes on him and the talk, right? He just probably needs to take a step away from all of it. And I'm sure if anybody has stepped on stage, we can all respect that, but nonetheless, Aaron Banks coming in at third place, and he is definitely going to be somebody to keep a close eye out for, because whether he competes next year or not, I think that he's always going to be a front runner in these shows. I mean, let's be real. Not even the best versions of Aaron have been still top 3 in the world, next to people who have absolutely nailed it. So again, we got to pay close attention to see what his final decision is. Now, this next top 2 battle was absolutely insane. And guys, I truthfully went back and forth in my decision of who I thought won. Now, I'll tell you guys this. I at one point thought Ali Bilal won the show. I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I think his front shot was absolutely insane. I think his back shot was just so much improved. It wasn't a strong point, but it was definitely significantly improved. And I thought at one point it was enough. I mean, his finals look was insane. And then when I really slowed it down and take a look at everything, I actually think he won the front shot, but he really then lost the back shot by a pretty wide margin. And I mean wide margin, I just mean because Ryan Terry was so damn wide. Now, I'll be honest. I think because this was Ali's best package and Ryan's maybe second best package, that I almost leaned more towards Ali, but the reality was when you still compare those physiques, Ryan won. I mean, Ryan was the most conditioned human being I've ever seen in person. Like, I was sitting there at finals and I looked up and I was like, what the hell is going on? He looked like he had like nothing under his skin, like zero. And then Ali looked amazing too. Like, he is probably the most detailed guy in men's physique. But again, the back department was where they truly got separated. But nonetheless, coming in at second place, we have Ali Bilal. And Ali Bilal is without a doubt going to be a force in the men's physique division. From my understanding, both of these guys really have no room to play with in terms of their weight cap. So they definitely will have to get creative in order to continue to maximize some of their weak points. I think they both need to continue to add some thickness to their back. Now, I think Ryan, when his maxed out, like when he's full and maxed out, I think his chest is phenomenal. I think everything is phenomenal. I don't think he's really missing anything, but he was definitely flatter going into this year's Olympia, and I don't think he had enough time to fill himself out. But nonetheless, it was still a clear victory for Ryan. Every single judge had him in first place, and it was actually a closer battle between third and second place. Actually, Aaron had some votes to be ahead of Ali Bilal, but nonetheless, the majority still had Ali in that conversation. But it was an awesome battle. This is definitely going to be a battle for years to come. And again, both of these guys have very similar strength and very similar weaknesses, so it was really exciting to see kind of how they're going to have to reinvent their bodies in order to maximize that with being so close to the weight cap. But congratulations to Ali Bilal, again, placing last place last year, now second place this year, and your two-time reigning men's physique champion in Ryan Terry. All right, guys, before we get out of here, I have to show you guys, I seen on Instagram that Andre Ferguson went skydiving. And if anybody knows Andre Ferguson's personality, this might have just been like the funniest thing to be there in person for, even though I wasn't. I wish I wasn't, but we definitely have some visuals that we have to show. And I think I'm going to do this more, show you guys as a little bit more of like the off season of each of these athletes. So all of us, as we're getting fat, happy, and chunky, we can actually show some more relatability to what we're doing, not just the hardcore stuff in the gym, but also us living life. I think that's going to be really cool. But take a look at these photos. Andre Ferguson seemingly having a lot of fun. I just wish I was here in person. It is crazy to think that the 2024 season is coming to a close, and guys, what a hell of a year. I just started picking up the camera and covering men's physique earlier this year, just at the beginning of this season, and honestly, to see what it transitioned into is absolutely mind-blowing and amazing, and I cannot thank you guys for the support. I know this is sometimes a little different of what you guys probably knew in the past, whether it was with Hart McGrath or other channels covering the division, but I always try to give my unique input based off of me not only being a fan of the sport, but also being an athlete and sharing the stage with a lot of these guys. The men's physique division has always been undervalued and also just simply looked at as like the redheaded stepchild of bodybuilding. But there's so many high character individuals in this division that I want to continue to highlight, not just in season, but continuing to show what these guys do in order to become the best versions of themselves and an elite level bodybuilder. So nonetheless, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. And before we get out of here, we're not done yet. If you or a friend are looking for a coach, whether it's to step on stage for the very first time, whether it's to shut it down and focus on putting on quality muscle for the 2025 season, or if you're a lifestyle client looking to gain or even lose 10 pounds, I am now taking on clients after a long hiatus, guys. I thank you for your patience. I'm so excited to be working with a lot of you guys. And again, I can promise you this, it will not be easy. It won't, but it will be worth it. I'm going to help you guys maximize your potential and also find a new level of confidence in the progression. So nonetheless, all you guys got to do is click the link below. I will be only accepting about 8 clients going into the holidays, only 8. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like the video, share with your friends, and also comment below. Let's continue these conversations in the comment box. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.